Yes, hi, I'm Janika Merila. I'm Special Advisor at the Ministry of Social Affairs in Estonia. But so happens that I'm also advisor to Deputy Prime Minister of Ukraine in regards to digital transformation.
Yeah, in 2013 you had a crazy idea. Okay, you are half Ukrainian and half Estonian, and you went in 2013 to do something with e-government in Ukraine. Tell me what kind of atmosphere was there?
Yes, it was crazy because in 2013 there was literally nothing digital, which means no registries, no e-services, no e. And it was like really going around like I call it crazy evangelist, evangelizing new technology, that one day you will have like services online, and people were like, yeah, not gonna happen to us, that we've seen these reformers, that maybe in your country it works, here it will never happen. But then,
did you have a role? Did you come through the Estonian government as a representative, or just as a student, or what?
I came as working in IT basically, and I founded Ukrainian Investor Association, and then the first minister that came after Maidan asked me to be his advisor. So I basically stayed in Ukrainian government as advisor in E, but was very interesting also that I was a 4 years active deputy mayor at Dnipro, which means I had an opportunity to also launch solutions, because one thing is evangelizing, telling in theory how it should be, but another thing is really piloting. And then
so you became the deputy mayor of a city?
In Dnipro, yes, 1 million city, which was important because then you can show that how it really works, that it's a good thing to have, how it changes life, and to create this positive precedence so that people understand what you mean.
Yeah, and 2013 you came, you evangelized, and 2014 came a change in president, right? You got a more European, more modern thinking president who gave it a chance.
Yes, President Poroshenko gave it a chance. He had a completely new cabinet, which was young and progressive. And then even better things happened in 2019. Zelensky came, that had actually part of his program, government in a smartphone. So he launched a new ministry, basically Ministry of Digital Transformation.
Yeah, but before we go there, I mean, first you got X-Road from Estonia. So how did that come about, that the government said of Estonia will support with X-Road? How did that, because that happened in 2015, right?
Yes, that happened in 2015 because the Estonian government started also like helping Ukraine in digital thinking, that okay, that probably there should be e-services, but for that you need the X-Road. It's basically exchange of information from different databases. So it took actually several governments from Estonia to convince the one government in Ukraine, which means they kept on saying that yes, it's a good thing. Then different Estonian like e-government agency and different agencies were involved to adopt it in Ukraine. And once you had it in place, you could start also launching national services, not the local, but the national services. And now we received, based on this X-Road back, the mobile application that is built on this X-Road. So Estonia will launch the government in smartphone application that now we have back because we gave X-Road. So it's a great operation.
It's really crazy that happened that way. So when did, for example, the e-identity got launched? Because that's essential.
Yes, absolutely. It was probably 15, 16, because there was like no ways to identify, like, should it be the memory card, or should it be the ID card, or what should be the carrier of ID? Or, yes. So now it's implemented in this government services app, as well as in like different ID cards, and there are different ways of identify. But yes, it was crucial.
Yeah. What were the first services which were implemented in what year?
The first services were actually the tax authority declaring the taxes. Then it was e-democracy services, actually. Let's not call it a service, but different ways of voting for your budget, e-participation, petitions.
Really?
So it started with the, let's say, simplest things, because it wasn't service. It was basically signing your will, but we started experimenting. Then it was e-health, definitely. We started from the local level, because you always need like some hospital to implement it, or municipality. Then the e-transportation, different like e-ticketing systems, and then basically a Pareto principle. What are the most in-demand services? So what need to be implemented first, as well as documents. The passport. We have a passport in iPhone, which is probably the first country in the world which allows you to show your e-passport, e-driving license, e-student ticket, any certification basically that is needed. It all is also in your mobile wallet now.
Ah, and so you say in 2019, Zelensky, he was digitally minded?
Yes, even before he came, actually, he invited me to discuss the government in 2018, probably. So even before he was elected, he had it part of his program, because he thought that we need to eliminate the civil servants, because human factor always means possible corruption. And not to have corruption, you need the computers instead of people, basically. And you need to cut down the processes. You don't need to have like 5 processes if computer can offer it in one. So he had this really like e-mindset. Even
and you talked to him at that time before he was president. You talked to him personally.
Yes.
What was your impression about it? Because I mean, it was for us a completely crazy thing about from going to a comedian and an entrepreneur, and then this successful guy in the series, and then to be a real president. But what kind of, how is he as a intellectually interested, understanding about it?
He's very, very, very real, meaning that he's very interested. He understands the concept. If he doesn't understand, he doesn't pretend he doesn't understand. He asks, he analyzes, and he engages the best people, which is very, very important, that he engages the best specialists around the market. He supports cooperation with the private market, which is very important. He doesn't think that he has always the right answers, but he has a very clear goal, and he's very demanding in that the government is not something he declared in elections. It's something that should happen fast. He's very supportive of innovation in basically that if new solutions are offered, he's extremely pro them. So he's surprisingly very innovative and very real.
Cool. Then the people around him, you say it's extremely important. Who are Mr. and Mrs. e-government in Estonia who are really carrying the core torch, and how does it go to the local, from the national level to the local level?
In Estonia or in Ukraine?
Oh, Ukraine, sorry.
In Ukraine, the torch is carried by Minister of Digital Transformation, who is also the Deputy Prime Minister. And this is important because then he has a mandate to demand this digital transformation from other ministries, for other municipalities, from regions, and so on. So basically, he's a 30 plus years old IT specialist who now is a minister, and his ministry is really 20 years old deputies, 30 years old deputies, because they think differently. It's not changing the old ways to think. It's like we never thought in the old way. We were born in smartphones, we were born with the digital solutions that they don't accept this answer that this has always been done like that. It hasn't. I was born, I'm doing it differently. We should all be doing it differently.
Yeah, fantastic. And then from there on, you say there's levels everywhere. On every city, there's a digital transformation officer?
Yes, so we started with creating a Minister of Digital Transformation, who is basically the upper level, and then every city, every region administration has their own CDTO, Chief Digital Transformation Officer, which basically is the guarantee or the executor of the government strategy. So there is a dedicated deputy minister, dedicated deputy mayor, who is in charge of digitalization.
And you were also a deputy mayor, right? I mean, for digitalization, or what was your role there?
Then there were no digital deputies yet. I was active deputy to the mayor who wanted to innovate. So basically, let's say, I was the deputy before even the ministry was launched, because you need always someone progressive who said that, okay, things should be done differently and let's start experiencing. So we were the early birds that started experiencing, and then basically the ministry came and saw that, okay, this dedicated person sounds like thing to do.
Wonderful. So you stayed there from 2013 to 2020, and then you came back because of COVID. How was the situation in 2020 when you left?
Yes, I left in 20, but I'm still advisor to Minister of Digital Transformation. So it's not like I left, But of course, during COVID, all the processes became remote and people started working remotely much more, especially now during the war. But I'm very, very proud that actually we managed to launch these services and the smartphone-based services because it has helped a lot starting from COVID. And now in times of war, that you
Yeah.
can deliver and receive services through your smartphone, not depending on where you are, because you cannot go to your service centers, you cannot go to your family doctors, and you can still access your services.
Yeah. So tell me, what happened during the war? What happened? How does the government now use the e-services?
Yeah, the government actually managed to stay online all the time, which is very important because we managed to adopt the clouds law before that we can store databases and solutions in clouds. Then we started receiving Starlinks, which also guarantee that the connection is up, that you can access your services.
Essential.
Yes. Then the documents were transferred online already in 2019 probably, which means passport, that if you have moved to different region and over 9 million have relocated, some have returned, yes, but when you're relocated, you don't always have your documents with you or you cannot renew them. So having this online services documents, it has really allowed government to keep on working and to be operational and to keep delivering the services.
Yeah. If we then look at e-health, and there's also 6 million people in Europe everywhere, can they deliver the healthcare system? And is also remote care being delivered to them?
Yes, the remote care is being delivered to them and they can access their information, but it is extremely important. What we hope to support Ukraine with also from Estonia is to get them to My Health at EU so that they can start exchanging the patient summary and e-prescriptions with other countries. So basically, for example, when the Ukrainian doctor prescribes a medication, then the local pharmacy in other country can submit this medication. And for example, when you go to doctor in Poland, in Estonia, the doctors can see your patient summary, your allergies, your previous results of x-rays and so on.
Yeah.
So this would be the next level.
Yeah. And Ukraine is the first country which basically took to European standards, right? It is the most modern European standard country.
Yes, it was very amazing that when you do things from scratch, you can implement the new technologies. So Ukraine adopted, for example, FIRE, or the new standard, which now only many European countries are shifting to, and saying that in the future everything should be the solution based. Ukraine built the whole system this based. So now Ukraine is consulting other countries in regards to how to implement it. So it's amazing that really when you're a new kid in a block, you can do it from scratch using the latest technologies, and it's such an advantage. And
Yeah. They said that Estonia was number 1 is the digital country. Is it now Ukraine?
it's both, meaning that Estonia has still everything digital. Ukraine is going there to have everything in every level because it's still 40 million people. 40 million means also suburbs and small cities and villages, and we can say that it's fully digital where everyone has access to digital services and most are using the digital services.
Yeah.
So unless it's used in a daily basis for everything, it's not fully digital. Estonia is there, the first, definitely. But in regards to new technologies and solutions, yes, sir, sometimes learning from Ukraine.
Yeah, wonderful. Last question. I mean, you're now here. What do you do after you've done Ukraine? What can you still do here in Estonia which will satisfy your enthusiasm and your passion for change?
Well, I think Estonia has a certain role to play in European health space. For example, now we're working in European health data, different regulations, and it's very interesting to also to level up in regards to now secondary data. Okay, we have all the primary solutions, but what next? So Estonia has definitely a role to play on
The
what next.
biobank and
The biobank, how to share this information, anonymized information, so that the researchers could use it, the schools, the pharmacy companies can develop the new medication, the new solutions. So it's leveling up.
yeah, but a different speed compared to Ukraine.
Europe is always different speed when you compare it to someone who's a new kid and who's saying, let's make it fast, and we have the full political will and no restrictions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.